Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Patricia Monna, Intuitive Consulting. Today I have a very special guest, Ildiko Olah, who is a brand new book author, and I'm very excited to talk today about her book called The Power of the Awakened Human, a practical guide to conscious reality creation. Thank you so much for joining us, Ildiko. How are you today?
Thank you very much for having me. I'm great. Thanks.
Awesome, awesome. So I wanted to talk about your book. You sent me a copy of it, and I got to say thank you so much. I'm glad that I was able to power through it before our interview because it is right up my alley. You talk about frequency and energy and spirituality and all of my favorite topics all in one book. So I wanted to ask you, can you give us a little background on why you decided all of a sudden to write a book?
Well, it was the end of a long process. It started a very long time ago, about 20 years ago. We came to Canada, my husband and I, back in 88. And we started a new life here. And we work as a normal, regular Canadian couple, started a family. So we were just like a normal family until one day everything changed for me. We went to a road trip to the United States. That was one of the first of many road trips we took. And we've never been there before, and we were so excited. So we went there and we went all over the place. We were camping and we were visiting cities and natural areas. And that's when we got to a place in Arizona. Arizona is a great place for spiritual people.
Yes, it
With all the
is.
energy there and whatnot. I didn't know that back then, but we got there and there was a place called Canyon de Chelly. An area, it's a Navajo area where Navajo Indians still
Mm,
live.
yeah.
And we saw it as we were traveling and said, oh, let's check it out. There is a hiking trail going down there into the canyon. It's a beautiful canyon. There is a red-colored river running on the bottom. And, Arizona in the summer with the blue skies and those red rocks, they're so beautiful and so magical.
Gorgeous.
So we ran down and it was like in the middle of summer, it was very hot. And we hiked down the trail. And when we got to the bottom, we saw a chicken wire fence that was separating the canyon, the hiking trail area from the Navajo Indians who lived there. They were growing corn and raising livestock, and we could hear them. We didn't see anything, but we could hear the chickens and the dogs and the goats. It was such a wonderful place. And we were standing there taking a little break, and suddenly a native Indian started singing and beating the drum. And when I heard that, in that moment, I felt like I was transported back in time, and I was gripped by this feeling that I've been here before. I know this place. I not just I've been here before, I lived here before.
Wow.
I felt like I was at home, and
Yeah.
I was in this sensation for I don't know how long. And then some tourists started to come down the trail talking loudly, and the illusion shattered, and I was just standing there and I was so surprised and I was so disappointed because it was such an incredible feeling. See, the thing is, I come from scientific background. Like I've always been interested in science ever since I was a child. And for like I was a stubborn scientific minded child because
Yeah.
anything that was not scientific for me that like didn't exist. So when I heard people talking about ghosts and spirit and psychic phenomenon, I always said, oh, that's, I don't know, what do I
Yeah.
know? So it was the arrogance of youth. If I cannot explain it, if I cannot prove it, then it doesn't exist. And a person like that, imagine standing there at the bottom of the canyon with this sudden feeling that this is my home, I've been here before. That was a life-changing moment.
Yeah, I
And,
bet.
and it started this whole awakening process. That was my trigger, basically. So
Wow.
we went home from the trip, And right away, I dove in. I started researching everything that had to do with reincarnation, everything that had to do with consciousness, projections of consciousness, out-of-body experiences, astral projections, and that sort of thing. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot in those years. But the most important thing was that while I was studying all these phenomena, somebody said that you should really try meditating, because that's like a basic thing when you are
Mm-hmm.
studying this sort of thing. And I said, oh, okay. I've never done that before. So I started meditating, and uh, suddenly some incredible things started to happen. There was this pink swirly thing here, like I saw in my mind's eye, pink swirly, which I guess it was my crown chakra opening or something like that.
Yeah.
And and uh, and I started seeing images, and I found myself back in time, like some amazing stuff happened. Or I went to bed at night, I just closed my eyes, and suddenly I found myself out in space. Can you imagine? I'm out in space, and there are all these stars around me, and I don't have a body, and
Yep.
I'm emanating this white light. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? What
Wow.
I am. So as I started meditating and I got into it, and all these experiences came, and it started me on this road of awakening, and realizing that, wait a minute, I'm so much more than what I have been taught all my life. I am not just this flesh and blood person. There is a whole aspect to me, the bigger, a greater part of me that nobody ever told me about.
Yeah.
Mind you, even if they did, I probably wouldn't have accepted it because I was not ready.
Mm-hmm.
So life has a way of getting you there when you are ready. And when you are
Absolutely.
ready, then you can open up. And so I spent the next 15 years having so much fun, learning so many things, and experimenting with stuff, and watching myself, and um, it was an incredible process, incredible. I really enjoyed it, and it changed me completely, completely. I was a different person at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing was that after about 15 years, it started slowing down. So it felt like my third eye started closing,
Oh.
and I was starting having less and less experiences. It's like slowly it built down. And I said, oh my God, what happened? Why did all of this thing happen to me? Like, why is it that I was shown what I am and what I can be, and suddenly it's being taken away? So I was at that point that I called the spiritual dead zone, because no more adventure, no more psychic adventures, no more visions. Every
Mm-hmm.
time I went to meditate, it didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I noticed that I found myself in a sort of a plateau. Your life, uh, like a normal human life, is when things happen to you. Your life is kind of up and down, up and down. Sometimes good things happen, sometimes
Yeah.
bad things happen. And then as I was having these experiences in the 15 years, it felt like I was going up in vibration. And then I hit this plateau,
Mm-hmm.
and then suddenly all the craziness of the world disappeared. And I was in this place where everything was just smooth. It's like floating on a river. It's just
Wow.
taking me, and it's so quiet, and no more drama in my life, and no more craziness, and everything seems so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to that point where I felt so good about it, but at the same time, my creativity seemed to just wither away and die, and I could not get excited about anything. So I was in this real dead zone for a while, for a couple of years, and it was such an uncomfortable place to be,
Mm-hmm.
because um, you don't know what's going on. So I was waiting, and the thing is, inside me, I knew that something was going to happen. It's like calm before the storm.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was waiting for something. I just didn't know what. It's like when you are in a video game, and you finished everything on level one, and you are waiting. Oh, when am I getting to level two?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was when it happened. That one day I got tired of waiting. I said, I can't wait any longer. I'm going crazy here. So I asked myself, Ildi, if you could do whatever you wanted to do right now, what would it be? And I said, I would like to teach. I would like to teach all the things I have learned in these 20 or 15 years. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I would like to teach people, so maybe their journey doesn't take 15 years. Maybe
Yeah.
they can learn things from me that I had to pick from here and there and there and there. To put
Mm-hmm.
everything into one book where people can find all the information that they need. But I had no idea how to do it. How am I going to teach? Because uh, I'm not an orator. I'm good at writing, but talking is not exactly my forte. So how am I going to do that? And I'm not comfortable talking in front of people. But I said, you know what? I learned already that the universe takes care of these things. I already have the desire, and I decided that I'm going to teach in whatever form it's going to take, and I just have to wait for it to happen. And that's when it happened that it was after Christmas. I was sitting around on the couch with my husband and we were listening to Christmas songs. And I love Christmas songs. I mean, if you want to put yourself into a high vibration, just a
Yeah.
high, then you're singing and, singing along with the songs. And I mean,
Yeah.
Christmas songs are the thing to go.
For sure. I agree.
Yeah. And I was listening to it, and I just told my husband offhandedly that, hey, I love listening to these songs because they put me in such a high vibration.
Mm-hmm.
The moment the words were out of my mouth, I had this moment of what I call illumination. I don't know if you ever experienced that suddenly everything just came together. It's like when you have the last piece of the puzzle and you put it in, and suddenly you can see the picture.
Yeah.
And there was this moment of clarity, and that's when I knew that a book. I have to write a book because
Wow.
when I write a book, it doesn't matter that I'm not a good speaker. It doesn't matter that I have the accent. It doesn't matter that I have to talk in front of people. I can do it in my own time, and I can put everything. I can collect my thoughts, and I can put everything in the book that I have learned, and that's it. And
That's,
I'm done. I'm teaching. So I figured out that the book is the best way to do it,
I
and
agree.
when I finally knew, it was such a relief, when the waiting is over and you know what you have to do.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
so that's what I did. I asked the universe to help me with it, and my guides to please help me with the ideas, how to put it together. Because what did I know about how to write a book?
Yeah.
You know, um, I've always been a reader, but I've been, I've never been in a job that required for me to write anything. So I didn't know much about writing, but the universe came through for me. So I sat down, I started to write. When I ran out of ideas, I went outside. I walk. There's a nice road here next to the river, and I was just walking and talking to my guides. And I said, please help me. Please give me new ideas. And then I came home, sat down, wrote another 1,000 words, and that's how it went.
Oh,
And it was just
poured through you.
flowing and flowing, and and
Mm-hmm.
and, and I was amazed at how easy it was, because I thought it would be something difficult, and no, it was pretty easy because the word just come and come.
Mm-hmm.
But then the publishing part came, and the formatting and all the things that I knew nothing about. But that's how this book came about.
It's amazing. And I gotta say, you hit the nail on the head when you said, unless you're experiencing it, you're not gonna believe it. That's my tagline on my website. The only difference between a skeptic and a believer is the experience. Once
Yeah,
you've had that hair-raising experience of astral projection or seeing your dead loved one or, hearing the words that something is gonna happen and then it happens, yeah, it unless that happens to you, you're not going to believe it because it's hard to conceive. It's kind of like, how do you describe water or the ocean to someone who's never been there or
yeah,
experienced wet? Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So it is. It's it's totally an awakening that a person needs to go through. And I truly believe that spirit does reveal itself to each and every one of us in our lifetime. And it's up to us. Do we want to open up and, jump down that rabbit hole and go see what it has for us? Or do we want to cover it up and keep walking? And it's interesting that you said that you remembered one of your past lives, because I have two specific memories of actually being killed in both of my two last past lives. I remember how I exited this scenario. And that was really scary because I've had that flashback ever since I was a kid. And it's really cool also that you wrote about that experience happening in Arizona, because I teach my psychic development and remote viewing down in Sedona, where I take people for a week. I call it a bucket list trip because it is. I pack in so much fun stuff that it's quite mind blowing. But one of the things that we do every day is we go out to each of the vortexes and we meditate in the vortexes. And the feedback that I get from it is just wild, because you're literally sitting in a place where the energy is palatable. You can feel it. You can connect with it. You can see so much clearer. That's why I love teaching. I love teaching in Arizona, out in Sedona, because it's so magical, and the energy, it's so profound that, I don't know, I'm an empath. I can feel energy. So about 5 kilometers away from the town center, when I'm driving in, I can literally feel the energy of the vortex kind of hit my body, and my body tingles the whole time that I'm there. So it's really cool that you had your experience down in Arizona, because yeah, it's quite the magical
It feels
place.
so good when I'm there. We've been there several times now, and every time I'm there. It's so
It's magic.
comfortable.
It
It's
is.
magical and
I love it.
comfortable, and it's like
Yeah.
oh, I want to stay here forever.
Hey,
That
where in
kind of
Canada? Where in Canada are you?
Susan Mary. It's Northern
East.
Canada, Michigan. We are bordered with Michigan.
Oh, okay. So
Lake
you're way out
Superior.
east. I'm
Yeah,
in the prairies. I'm out in Alberta.
yeah, yeah. My son is in Calgary too, so I know where
Oh,
you are.
very cool. Well, if you ever come to visit your son, you're gonna have to swing by and say hi to me
I
too.
was thinking about that. I was
Yeah,
thinking that.
that
Yeah.
would be awesome. I'd love to be able to give you a big hug in person. That'd be really cool. So what's next now that you've written this book? Because it is an excellent, excellent guidebook for someone who is trying to understand and navigate through spiritual expansion and understanding how to open it up. It's definitely a journey guidebook for sure. But do you have another one in the works, or what's next now that you've put this information out there?
I don't have another book, but I'd like to teach this stuff. So,
Ah,
and this would
yes.
be a challenge for me. You see, the person who doesn't like to talk to people and not comfortable speaking in front of people, I like this to be a challenge that I tackle. If there
Nice.
is interest in the city, I know that there are people are running workshops, like spiritual
Mm,
people teaching their stuff, and I would like to do that sort of thing myself. I mean,
nice.
not everybody likes to read. There are some people who prefer to go and do the face-to-face kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So that's what I would like to do. Uh, Maybe
Nice.
go someplace and meet people in person and teach them what I know, basically.
And
Get them to look.
you mentioned to me earlier that you also have a YouTube channel, right?
Yes,
So
yes, I have a.
tell me a little bit about your YouTube channel. What are you doing with that?
Well, the YouTube channel is basically I started it about 5 years ago when I started awakening, uh, and I started experiencing all sort of stuff, and I wanted to tell someone about it. You see, I couldn't tell anybody in my family because nobody was interested. Like for most people, this stuff is like woo woo. And when I say things like um, I found myself out in space, the first thing they say is, "Oh, you must have been dreaming." They tell that. No way, I fell asleep.
That's because they've never experienced astral
Yeah,
projection before. Because you're right, when you say you're out in space and you're looking around, you have no body, you're just light. You're just
yeah,
light. Try and
yeah.
look at your hands the next time that you're out of body, and you'll just see the outline of light
Mhm,
all around you. It's literally like you are the aura instead of the body. And
mhm.
you see everything. It's fascinating. I was actually professionally trained on how to astral project. So there is a program that you can take through the
I'm
Monroe
thinking
Institute.
about the two to
Ah,
try that out. Yeah.
fascinating, fascinating. And they do it through hemisync and binaural beats, where
Mhm.
they use brainwave entrainment and certain, like you've got affirmations with it, the brainwave entrainment, and then you've got to convince your body. It's the state of mind awake, body asleep. You're literally convincing your body that it's asleep. And then
Mhm.
you go through different stages where you can literally feel yourself starting to come out of your body. But you have to get past something called the startle reflex. You know, when you're falling asleep and you kind of jerk, you go like
Yeah.
this? Well,
I
that's
practice.
actually, yeah,
I
that's
practice
actually
that.
you coming.
And I never got out of my body. Got to the point where I felt like I was ready to pop. You know,
Yeah,
that feeling at the navel, like
yeah.
I'm being pulled out, and then suddenly there was this loud noise, boom.
Oh, yeah.
But it was inside my head. It wasn't from outside. It was inside my head, and I never got out.
Startled you. Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta train yourself to get past the startle reflex. And
Mm.
you will hear things. Like as you're starting to come out, you can literally hear, I don't know, for me, I heard static. And it sounded like really loud static
I
as I
heard
was starting
static
to
too.
come
Yeah.
out. And
Yeah.
my body felt really, really, really fuzzy too,
Fuzzy,
um,
yeah, yeah.
on the
I get
inside.
so close.
Coming
I
out.
got
Yeah,
so
so
close,
close.
but I never got out. It's interesting though that I never got out, but while I was doing it, like I always did it at night, and my
Yeah,
husband was sleeping next to me. And the incredible thing was that um, my husband, how he reacted to it. He was fast asleep, snoring away, and the moment I started practicing astral projection, he started trashing about. You know, I think
oh,
I
interesting.
created such a strong energy. That's all
Yeah.
I can think about it. Oh, and he did that every time, and that was another reason why I couldn't do it, because the moment I would get to a certain point, and it's like I'm ready to pop, and then he goes
Oh,
next to me, and every single time. So
yeah.
after a while, I realized that it's me. I'm creating this. I'm creating this disturbance in the energy
Mm.
that he reacts with that way. So anyway, I had all these experience that I couldn't tell anyone, and that's why I started the YouTube channel, so I can talk about it. So I describe all the things that I also written into my book, all the experiences I had, you
Nice.
know, the pink swirly thing, and the interesting is that a lot of the things that I experienced at the time, I didn't know what it was, you know, and so interesting that so many years later I now know what I have seen, and I know why I have seen it. It's
Mm.
like your guides. Like one of the first things that I experienced when I started awakening was this. I saw these little sparkly lights around me, and they came especially against white background, the snow
Mhm.
or the sky.
Yeah,
But there was sometimes even in the darkness,
yeah.
in the evening, I would sit and they would be there at the
That's
corner.
energy. Yeah,
And
that's
I'm
energy.
thinking, what is that? What is that? And one day I was walking here on a river road, and I said, I would so much like to see my guide. Can you please show yourselves to me in a way that I would recognize you as such? And would you believe it? Those sparkling things appeared,
Yes,
and they
yes,
were
yes,
all
yes,
around me,
yes.
and they were dancing. They were
Yes.
dancing around me, and oh my God, these are the sparklies I've seen 20 years ago. And I
So,
never knew what they were. And how many people I asked on discussion forums everywhere I went, because there was no Facebook back then. There were no
yeah,
Facebook groups of people who knew everything. It was at the very beginning, 20 years ago. There was not so much information as there is now. And nobody could answer me what it was. And
crazy,
finally, after all these years,
you know. So it's interesting that you say that because when I teach in my office, I've got a beautiful deck on my off of my studio. I take everybody outside and I say, okay, guys, I'm going to teach you how to see angels. And I make them invoke them, say, okay, guys, I'm ready to see my angels. Come on, ready to see my angels. And then I tell them to look up for those sparkly things. And they come in such massive droves when you call them in, especially when you call them in as a group. The whole
Uh-huh.
sky starts lighting up with
Yeah.
sparkles. It is the coolest thing ever. I refer to them as like the little spermy lights because they look like
Yeah.
little
Exactly.
sperms
Yeah. Yeah.
flying
Exactly.
everywhere. Yeah, those are them. Those are them.
I'm
I'm so
so
glad that
happy
you
to
can
hear
see
someone
that.
else talk about it because all these years,
I
like
know
for
exactly what you're
that's
talking
so
about.
important. Okay.
Yeah, that's the angelic realm. So when we're calling on them, and the ones that are usually most responsive are the ones that are closest to us. So they'll be our guides, our angels. But there's also a line of defense called angels in waiting.
Mhm,
And they literally are just, their job is to just wait. Just
mhm,
wait until someone calls on them, until they can spring into action and go save the day. So, for example, like in a car accident where a mother gets superhuman strength to lift the car off of the
yep.
baby and save the baby. Who do you think's helping her? Those are those angels in waiting that are ready to spring into action the minute that we ask for their presence. So it's so cool that you can see them. I love it. I love it. I love it. Because I've been
And
seeing
you
it my whole life, even as a child, and I know what you mean about seeing it in the dark.
yeah.
Um, and what's interesting is I actually, when I was younger, I kept describing it, describing it, describing it. So my mom took me to an ophthalmologist. And the ophthalmologist, I remember him saying, "Oh, that's ocular snow. That's ocular snow." And I knew that that wasn't right, but that's what they call it, ocular snow. And because it does, it just, even in the room, I can see it all. I can see all the energy in the
Mhm,
room.
mhm,
And when someone else will say is standing in the room in spirit, in that energy, I'll literally see an outline. Like I know I've got an angel standing right there because I can see the outline of him standing, and I can
mhm.
see how tall he is. But
That's a
it's it's within that energy that you're looking and being able to perceive it. And I just don't think people. I think people are so used to seeing it that
mhm.
they don't know how to see it
You
anymore.
don't question it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't, it's kind of like if all of a sudden you want a green car, you're going to notice all the green cars, but you never notice how many green cars there was until you
Yeah.
brought your attention to it,
Yeah.
right? So it's the same thing. I think that people don't really realize what they're looking at
Yes.
until they
And
realize what they're looking at.
yeah, and they don't know. It's so much comfort, to know that they are there. And a lot of people don't know this. And I also teach this in my book. If you are in trouble or you need help with anything, you got to ask for help
Yes.
because they don't come here to evolve themselves into our business.
Yeah.
If you ask for them, they will come. That's what I noticed. And I've been in some hairy situations sometimes in my life. And when I called for help, the help came out
Yeah.
of nowhere. Suddenly, your problem is solved. So that's so important for people to know that you have these, I call them the invisible helpers that are around us all the time, and if we ask for them, they will come in and help. But we have to ask because they have, if you are a Star Trek fan, you will know this as a non-interference policy. They
Yes.
can't interfere because that's the agreement. Are we just gonna be here in this three-dimensional environment? We do our thing, we have our experiences, and if we get into trouble, we can ask for help.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
if people know this, then that makes a whole lot of difference.
It does. It really does. Ask and you shall receive. I mean, that's biblical, right? And so you're 100% correct. We do need to invoke our angels. And so I get in the habit of every day I start my day off in prayer. Even before I was starting this, I was saying my little prayers, just let this go perfect and let it be heard and seen by the people who need this message. Right? Because the thing is that it's so unbelievably important to pass on the knowledge that Spirit has shown us. And I think that one of the reasons why your book was so beautifully written and was easier to write for you was because you were channeling it. I think you were hooked into that matrix that says, okay, we need this book to come
Yeah.
from 5D down into the 3D so that our human brains can get into this. And I was saying this earlier. It books like this And it reminds me of the book Conversations with God, right? Amazing, amazing book. Like that, the book Conversations with God changed my life, right? Totally did. However, I've purchased that book for a lot of people, and there's some people where they're like, I can't, it's too heavy. I can't
Yeah.
understand it. I can't,
They are not ready.
how is it so good for you? I don't understand it. And it's like, you're not at that frequency yet
Yeah.
to absorb, obtain, and have it make an imprint on
Mhm.
your fields of energy. That's what I think. It's just a
Mhm.
calibration thing,
Mhm.
right? So when people are ready to receive such beautiful high information, they got to be in the right receivership,
Right frequency. Yeah.
if that makes sense,
Yeah,
right?
it makes perfect sense. Yeah. And it's interesting you say about the channeling. See, while I was awakening, I was always awe of people who channeled. Like I have a bunch of teachers I
Yeah.
had who were channeling. Like you probably heard of Bashar,
Yeah.
Kraya, and they
Yeah.
are such lovely teachers. And who people who say, "Oh, I'm channeling by writing," and I always
Mm.
wondered, what is that like? What is it like to feel that channeling? I could not imagine until I was walking up and down on the street and I asked for help and I come home and the words are just pouring. And
Oh.
the interesting thing is that everything is flowing and I'm finished with the chapter and I read through it and I look at it and I say, where did this come from?
Yes, yes,
See,
yes.
like I know everything that's there because I'm teaching it and I
Yeah,
know it,
yeah,
but how did it come out in this form? You know, it was so amazing to me. That was the greatest feeling that finally I know what it feels like to channel because I know that it's just flowing
yeah.
easily and I just don't know where it came from. It's like when sometimes, you know, I'm a daydreamer. I've always been. So I dream about stuff and I have sometimes imaginary speeches I give when in a certain situation. And sometimes the words just come. And for a couple of minutes, I just go at it and go at it. And then after I'm finished, say, where did all of that come from?
Yeah.
Where? I have no idea where it came from.
Well,
But
it's just like when I lead my meditations, it's the same because normally in my day-to-day life, I stutter, forget what I'm saying mid-sentence. I've got really, really bad short-term
same
memory,
here.
really bad. So I stutter, all of that. But when I drop in to that energy in a meditation and I'm leading a meditation, it's flawless and I can feel the energy going like this. And when the words are coming out of my mouth, I can feel my Patricia self going, oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. Oh, I got to remember that. Oh, that's really good. I should remember that. And I can hear myself in the background, having these conversations where going, wow, that's really good information. Or that's amazing that they're taking them that way. Or
Yeah.
when I do channeled meditations, I know that I'm taking my listeners on a journey. I have no idea what the journey is going to be until I'm in it and I'm seeing it. And when I'm channeling, it's literally like I'm getting the images of where I'm supposed to be leading the people, right? And then it just comes. It comes. That that's
Yeah.
channeling. And you can feel it because it feels all fuzzy and amazing. And when you're in the flow, it just literally the words come. But I've looked back often at some of my classes that because all of my channeling, I write notes, but I never stick to them. I
Uh-huh.
just say what comes. But when I look back and I watch the videos, I can literally see my angels working through me and see my energy shifting and changing and stuff. So I bet you even with you that if you were to record yourself channeling
Mhm.
your book or the next time you start writing, just put a video camera on you and just watch your energy change because it's quite fascinating. It really is. You'll see your whole body relax and it's like it
Yeah.
steps into this instead of, like this. I don't know how to explain it, but there's a total energetic recalibration that happens when you're channeling, I
Yeah.
think.
And your energy is affecting other people. Like I know it affects me. Remember, like a couple of days ago, when you were doing the meditation for humanity, and
Yes.
I kept yawning, just yawning and
Yes.
yawning. It's like, why am I yawning? And it's not the first time it
Release.
happened when I was watching you, and it's only with you. So it's your
Yes.
energy. Yeah, it's like releasing something in me.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
look at me now. Like I'm not a talker really. And look at me now. I'm talking a mile a minute because your energy makes me feel comfortable, and I'm just
Yeah.
cozy.
Oh, I
It's a lot
love it.
easier. It's a
I
lot
love
easier
it.
than I thought.
Ah, well, yeah, and yawning is totally, totally a release of energy. And it's usually because think of the breath, right? And where does grief or sadness or any of that reside? In the lungs, right? So usually when we're doing that deep yawning, it's usually releasing some form of grief
Mhm.
or deep-seated sadness, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
coming out.
It's interesting, and yawning is always interested me because have you noticed that when one person starts yawning, everybody else starts
Pages.
yawning?
I
So
know.
it's contagious.
Even talking about it, I could feel myself wanting to yawn. It's like, I'm not yawning. I'm not tired.
Yeah, that's what I said before. I said, let's hope I'm not going to
Contagious.
start yawning while I'm talking to you because usually you have that effect on me. But it's very interesting. I see people all the time, and like in a classroom, one starts yawning and then everybody else does it.
Mhm.
And I always wondered why that is. So really, that I learned that from you. You see, I didn't know that before.
Oh, yeah, it's an energy release for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think that in this day and age with the stuff that's going on in our society, it is so important to be able to identify, when we are letting something go or when we are stepping into a higher mind, and stepping into that flow. Because I think that we wave in and out of it all day long.
Mhm.
As humanity, everybody does. But learning to be able to decipher what it looks like, what it feels like, so that people know they're not going crazy. We are mind, body, soul, and it is all interconnected. And I
Mhm.
love that you put that together in this. You
Mhm.
break it down. And I do love that you included the sciencey bits in
Mhm.
this as well, because I
Yeah,
have a
because it's
very
good to
sciencey brain.
understand. It's good to understand. And I want, I'm really hoping that people will learn what, for me, the most important thing is to become awake in your life. Because most of us, we go through life and we are sleeping, like we are on autopilot.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we come here, we are born into this reality, and we forget who we are and why we came because of that veil between the dimensions. And I learned in my 20 years of doing this is that it is so important because once you learn that you can wake up from this, like you can wake up from a dream, then your life changes and,
Yes.
and you create your reality. For me, that's the most important message in spirituality. You create your reality, every aspect of it. And I heard it all the time when I was younger, but I never understood what that exactly meant. And now I know, and it's a game changer because once you learn that you are the creator of your reality, like every second of every day you are creating this environment for yourself. You are creating the people, you are creating your job, you're creating everything for yourself based on your vibration. You are
Yes.
like this big magnet that draws to itself whatever corresponds with its vibration. So if you are low vibrational, what will you bring to yourself? All low vibrational things. If you
Absolutely.
know how to raise your vibration, keep it high, listen to the happy Christmas songs, see?
Yeah.
then you're higher vibrational and you will bring the higher vibrational things to yourself. So this is basically this 3D existence. It's like a game that we play.
Yes.
Come in not knowing the rules. And how do you play a game when you don't know the rules? And once you learn the rules, once you realize that you are the boss here, you create all of this. And if you do this and this is how the universe will respond to that. If you do that, then this is what's going to happen. And for me, that's like winning the lottery. It's like winning lottery. Once you know all that, then you can create the things that you want instead of the things that you don't.
Absolutely.
That's a game changer, and it totally changed my life. And if people learn how to do it, people learn to watch themselves. It takes dedication though, so you have to decide to do it, and you have to watch what you are doing, what your thoughts, what comes out
Yes.
of your mouth also. So it requires effort, time and effort and discipline.
Hmm.
But once it's just at the beginning you work at it, and
Yes.
then as you keep doing it, it becomes second nature. and
Yeah.
it becomes so
Totally.
easy. And it's like when I say something and it's low vibration, right away it like ding ding ding,
Yeah.
I know it, and right away I switch and I change. And so it's a very important knowledge, in my opinion. It's one of the most important things that one can learn,
Oh, for
because
sure.
once you do it, then you are the boss. You are the in the driver's seat of your life, and you are driving it where you want to go. You're not waiting for things to happen. You see, all the time people say that, okay, I don't know what next year will bring, and I always say that that's not how it works. The years will not bring anything to you. You are drawing things to yourself. Don't wait for stuff to happen, because if you wait for random stuff to happen, then your life is not going to be too easy. Eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to create what you want to see in your life, not wait for life to drop stuff in your lap, because that's
Absolutely.
if that's the way it happens, then you are on autopilot.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm teaching in my book, that you take control. You watch yourself, your vibration, and what you are thinking, what you are doing, and what kind of tools you can use. We have so many tools for creating our reality consciously. Things that we all know about, like we heard, meditation, visualization, affirmations. Everybody's doing affirmations.
Hmm. Hmm.
There are so many tools, where we keep our focus. That's one of the biggies. Are you focusing on all the stuff that's going on in the world, or you are focusing on what you want in your life, what you want to see, what you want to bring into reality? Makes a huge difference, because whatever you focus on is what you're going to see. And if you focus on the bad stuff all the time, what are you going to see in your life?
Hmm.
Bad stuff.
Absolutely.
The more you focus on it, the more you're going to see of it. And that is just the rule of the game we are playing here.
Absolutely.
So that's why I think it's important to know.
Yeah. No, you're 100% correct. And I think that everything starts in the mind. Everything that we look at even started with a thought. Like this, who made this a cup? And defined this as a cup. Everything in our known reality was someone's thought, came from somewhere that is man-made that we see, right? And the thing is that we can use our mind as a tool to be able to draw things closer to us or literally reject it. Because our body will reject what our mind does as well. The body's constantly listening, or
Mhm.
it will draw us closer. And I think that if as master manifestors, the greatest thing that we can do is protect our minds. I love that you mentioned Christmas music, because I'm very careful with the music that I listen to. I'll only listen to upbeat music, or well, not just upbeat, but I mean like positive message music,
Yeah.
or else music with no messages at all. It's just pure music, pure symphony. I don't listen to someone whose music is steeped in pain, like for example Taylor Swift, who's constantly writing songs about her breakups. I don't want to vibrate with someone else's heartache.
Yeah.
There's enough heartache in the world. So we have to be careful about what we're allowing into our consciousness as well, what we're feeding it. Same
Exactly.
thing with the media.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
turned the news off at the very beginning of the pandemic, and best thing I ever did. I don't know what's going out in the world. I figure if it's important enough, someone will tell me about it or ask my opinion on it, and then, I'll maybe look into it this way. But I don't want to hear the 3D terror that is being pumped into the airwaves right now. Everything is to scare us or to keep us down. And how do
Yeah,
you
and the thing is, if we pay too much attention to that, then we are going
adjust our
to draw
vibration?
that kind of stuff into our experience. So that's the thing.
Exactly.
When you create your reality consciously, you can draw the good stuff into your life, and it keeps you in a bit of a bubble. These
Yeah.
are all like reality bubbles that we are living in, because my life is like now it's like so easy. Like it's amazing that no drama, and I feel so good. Like
Yes.
I can easily be high vibration in a life like this. But then I look at the news and all the stuff that's going on there, and I said, do I want to draw that into my reality?
Hmm.
I really don't want to. So I just want to keep the happy stuff, because that's what I thrive on. And interesting thing is that I've been like that ever since I was young. Just like you, I never liked sad songs. I did not listen to sad songs. I did not read sad stories. I don't like drama on TV. Well, okay, unless it's Game of Thrones. Sorry, that's my one thing. I'm sorry. But really, I was always subconsciously, before I knew any of this stuff, subconsciously, I always kept myself on a high vibration. Always read fairy tales. And even as an adult, I read fairy tales because they made me feel so good.
Yeah,
You know,
I agree.
we all have this tendency to try to make ourselves feel good. I mean, I look at people who are suffering from all kinds of addictions. Why are they addicted? Because they are trying to make themselves feel good too. So
Yes.
we all have this feeling that we want to feel good. That I think that is the natural human being who wants to feel good. We don't want to be miserable.
Yeah,
So I've always looked for the fun stuff, the happy stuff. Even though I had, not so happy things in my life, because everybody goes through. We come here for a reason, right? We come
yes.
here to experience certain things before we open our eyes and say, "Oh, okay, now I know what's going on." Uh,
Hmm.
so we try to keep it happy and just keep the nasty stuff away. And it works. It works so beautifully once you know what you are doing, and once you ask your helpers to help you. It's such a beautiful. It's like a play in a theater. You have people on the stage, and you have people behind the curtains, and all together we create this beautiful reality that we can experience 3D. Basically, that's what this is, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. It is. And it's the story that we're actively writing as we're living it,
Yeah.
and I know that this reality feels so real. The meat suit feels so real.
Yeah.
But once you've had that crazy experience of coming out of your body and being able to travel at the speed of thought and
Mm-hmm.
go anywhere literally the second you think it, it changes everything about you. There's no one that can convince me that this reality is the permanent reality. It absolutely isn't. I think this reality is such an illusion, but we're here. It's on a mission. That's the way I
Mm-hmm.
look at my life. I'm here on a mission. I can't wait to finish my mission and get back home, and relax in the sunshine up there. But while we're here on a mission, it's let's make it the greatest mission for
Mm-hmm.
humanity, not just for us. How we can use our voices to show other people it's an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Pain is inevitable in this life, but
Yeah.
suffering is a choice. Suffering
Yeah.
is the illusion of feeling that you still need to carry that pain with you 20 years later. That's an illusion. We don't need to. So I think getting back to peace in our mind and peace within us is what helps us to resonate, higher into and create a better reality than the one that we're living right now. So,
But it takes effort. It takes
yeah,
determination. You have to want to do it.
it does.
Nobody can push it on you. I try to, like, sometimes when I was younger, I saw people having problem, and I make suggestions, so that, oh, if you do this or you do that, spiritually, but people are not ready. So I stopped. It's something that every person, every light worker learns, that you cannot really change anybody like that. Like, everybody has to be ready for the change and
Yes,
choose the change themselves, because you cannot choose it for them.
for
And
sure.
that's very important to know. But I know it's a light worker's dream to see everybody happy, because this is why we are here, to help raise the consciousness of humanity, right?
Yes,
And I find it is such an honor, isn't it? It is such an
it
honor to
really
be
is.
here for that purpose, and to see other people waking up, and so many are waking up. That's amazing. I
It
see them
is.
everywhere.
Yeah. There is
So,
definitely a spiritual expansion that's happening on this planet right now, and it feels really good to be a part of it.
mhm.
Absolutely. What would you say is the number one tool that helped you develop your connection? What would you say it is?
I'd say meditation.
Yeah.
Meditation, because that started everything. Without it, I don't know
Yeah.
what could have happened. But meditation and being open,
Hmm.
willing, but that's something you have to be ready for.
Absolutely.
Meditation, I would suggest everybody try to meditate.
I
And
agree.
I know people say, oh, but I had that thing. How do I meditate? You know how many meditation methods I looked up, and one was more complicated than the other. And the other said, you know what? Forget it. I'm just gonna lay down, close my eyes, and just think of nothing. And you know that was a hard job.
Yes, it is. There's
When you
always
spend your
chatter.
life chattering in your head all your life, and then you have to lose that. Oh, that was hard work for me. It was so difficult. But once I quieted my mind, everything changed. So that would be my number one thing.
That's beautiful.
Meditate and your focus.
Yeah.
Focus.
Yes.
Where you keep your focus. Keep your focus on the good things. It's hard to tell which one is most because they are all important. You know, your
That's-
innate. I mean, everybody has that inner guide. You know, your sixth sense. How important it is. How many times I had to make a choice. So do I listen to this or do I listen to this?
Yeah.
And how many times I listened to this and later I said, oh, I was so stupid. I should have listened to what was in here because it never steers me wrong. But we learn, we learn logic in 3D, and logic tends to pull us away from whatever is in here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So many tools, but yeah, meditation for me, that would be the starter.
I agree. I was going to say for me, it's prayer and meditation. And the way I look at it is prayer is me talking to the big guy, but meditation is his way of talking to me.
Hmm.
That's the two way,
Hmm.
right? And so, yeah, I would definitely say meditation and prayer is my number one tools that I use every day. Can't get through my day without it.
Even you say prayer, for me, I don't know. I always ran from religion all my life, and I could never explain why. Now I know because so I don't have to unlearn anything. Now it's clear to
Yeah,
me. But I always ran from it. And when I started my awakening and I was looking for information, the moment I saw the word God, I ran the other way. So
interesting.
prayer, chanting, God,
Yeah.
those are the words that for some reason I don't associate with myself. So I run away from it. So that's why I always listen to people who did not speak those
Talk
terms.
about frequency instead and
Yeah.
stuff. You
Yeah.
know, it's interesting because I used to own a holistic wellness center in Calgary, and it was 7 years old when I bought it. And the lady that I bought it from, she says, never use the word God. She says, always say energy, universe, or mother, father, God. She said, because you'll lose people that way.
Yep.
There's so many people that have been scarred by religion. So for me and for anybody watching this, I want people to know I don't go to church anymore. I'm not indoctrinated. However, I have to thank my parents for teaching me the Word of God because there's so much in the Bible that I'm seeing now come out in science, right?
Mhm.
Like even
Yeah.
astral travel's talked about in the Bible. The amplification of prayers, when two or more are gathered in my name, there's an amplification of energy. I like being able to see how that cross references, but for me, it's not about religion. I'm not religious. For me, I know that there's something greater out there, and it doesn't matter if you want to call it God, Buddha, Allah, ultimate universe. There's something, the Matrix,
Mhm.
right? There's something greater out there that we can connect to in order to get answers, right?
Mhm.
And so for me, prayer represents my way of asking the divine for help, for health, healing, whatever I need to ask for. But meditation is when the answers drop into me. And so it's not um, I don't know how to explain it. It's not religion that I'm into whatsoever, because I believe that all great faiths have truth in them. I really do. And for me, I'll go and pray in a Catholic church, a Buddhist church, a Christian church, a Hindu church. I don't care. For me, there's faith in all of it. There's love in all of it. That's what I'm into, is the vibration of that
Mhm.
unity consciousness of doing better, being better, and making this world a better place. That's what I'm into. I'm not into the dogma of religion at all. But I think that there is a lot of correlation between what's coming out scientifically and what has been said before in the great text. So to me, it's just interesting to see how in modern day science, it's coming out. It's,
Yeah.
there's certain things that are being proven. So I
For me,
find
that's
it really
interesting that you say that you were grateful to your parents for introducing you to religion.
interesting.
See, how many times I say that I'm so grateful to my parents for keeping me away from religion.
Ah, yeah. Well, I think it's a path. That's the thing. I think all religions and even the spiritual path, it's a path. It's just a
Yeah,
path. And
yeah.
we're all walking each other home, right? So it's what tool works for you, what tool works for me, but
Mhm.
it might not work for someone else. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Where they've got to find their own path that they're walking on. And so for me, it was just they illuminated a path for me that makes so much sense even in what I do today, with my work.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful that they opened me up to spirit and my connection. So
That's
yeah,
very interesting too. Very
that's
interesting.
that's
How
so what
different,
but
yeah.
I was my parents were the type that we were going to church every Sunday. We are down on our knees, praying in front of the bed and stuff. I'm not into that stuff. I'm not into
We
that kind
never have.
that
Never,
dogma
never, never,
whatsoever.
ever.
You're
My
lucky that
parents,
you're lucky that you got to escape that. But at
my
the same
grandmother was very religious.
ah,
And when I was a child, she took me to church, but I was always bored out of my mind. And she taught us how to say grace and all that. But I was never into that. And I was so happy that my parents never made me do anything like that. And when I was old enough, I was grateful for that because I said, now I don't have to unlearn anything. Unlearn anything. I can just, I'm
on
open.
your own.
I'm open and I see where life is going to take me, you know?
Absolutely.
And I like that. I like that. I'm very comfortable with that.
Well, you're very connected. I can see it in your glow. So it's working. Whatever you're doing, it's working.
Thank
It's
you.
showing. It is, absolutely. So where can people find your book and get a hold of you if they have any questions or anything?
It's up on Amazon and it can be ordered from bookstores. But I have a website, outdoor website, ildikoolah.com. And
Okay.
there are links to Amazon and to Barnes and Nobles in the States and Indigo. So the book is not on the bookshelves uh, because this is like a self-published book and they usually don't keep them on the bookshelves, but it can be ordered from any bookstore,
Okay.
basically, any bookstore.
And I'll
Would you
also
like to
put
know
the
the price?
I'll
Pardon?
also put all the links in the description
Okay,
as
thank
well.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do that too. Well, my dear, I just realized the clock, so I
I'm
should bring
flying when
it
you're having
to an end.
fun.
But this was amazing to be able to meet with you and talk to you and have another fellow Canadian who gets it. I love that you're in my country. And yeah, like I said, I'll put up the all of Ildiko's information in the description. And if you guys haven't liked and subscribed to my channel or to Ildiko's, Ildiko Olah
Yes,
is your YouTube channel, correct?
yes.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And Ildiko, thank you so much for today, for bringing your wealth of knowledge into one place where people can pick it up and learn a lot. It's a great book. It's a wonderful, wonderful book.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me, and thank you for this loving energy you have. It is it's so great. It feels so good to be in it, and thank you for everything that you do for the awakening people. I participated in some of your programs, in your meditations, and I learned from you. So thank you so much for that. It is so important work that you do, and I very much appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate you and this wonderful book that you sent me as well. It's great. It's wonderful. And I appreciate all of you guys too out in YouTube land. Thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah, stay blessed, stay warm if you're in Canada because it's minus 30 up here today.
Yes, you too.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful. I'm over it. But anyways, I hope you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Stay blessed, stay warm, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.